Hello and welcome to the channel. Welcome to episode 21 of season 1. Today is day 4 of my journey to the Red Center and I am traveling about 490 kilometers from Coober Pedy in South Australia to Gien in Northern Territory. It was a bit late yesterday when I reached Coober Pedy and did not see the town properly. So let's experience how it feels riding through this fascinating place. Coober Pedy, the opal capital of the world. Around 150 million years ago, Coober Pedy was covered in ocean, and when the water receded, the sandy silica minerals from the seabed flowed into the rocky cracks and cavities and solidified over the time into multicolored gemstones. For some travelers, Coober Pedy is just an ugly dusty place in the middle of nowhere. However, many visitors are fascinated by this unique opal mining town in outback South Australia. Coober Pedy is an Aboriginal name that means white man in a hole. The name perfectly describes the fact that most residents live underground to escape from the heat in summer and cold nights in winter. Many areas in this town are no drone zone. Therefore, I used Google to demonstrate the town's appearance from the above. In a song written by John Williamson, he said, "You have arrived in a dusty lean-to town with a dusty digger's face, where you can find an opal if you can stand the pace, where you can be a miner no matter what your race, where you can dig a hole and live and die without a trace." If you ever come to Coober Pedy, do not disappear without a trace. So, be careful and don't stumble into one of the mining shafts. Coober Pedy and the opal mining fields lie on a stony desert plains on the edge of Sturt Ranges, approximately 845 kilometers from north of Adelaide. Today, I'm going to cross the state border between South Australia and Northern Territory, which means I'm also crossing three Aboriginal countries. I left Kokata, entered Entakarinja, and just before Gyan, I will enter Loridja. Aboriginal countries consist of two distinct groups, the Aboriginal people of Australian mainland and Tasmania, and the Torres Strait Islander people from the seas between Queensland and Papua New Guinea. Country is a term often used by Aboriginal people to describe the lands, waterways, and seas they are connected to. The term contains complex ideas about law, place, custom, language, spiritual belief, cultural practice, material sustenance, family, and identity. Acknowledging when you are on the land of traditional owners is a sign of respect that acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ownership and custodianship of the land, their ancestors, and traditions. Both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people can show this form of respect. Only the traditional owners can speak for and welcome visitors to country or give others the authority to do so. Being welcomed to country means talking to your spiritual ancestors and saying, "Just let this person come through. We trust that they are not going to do any harm to this country, and so do not harm them." Welcome to country rituals go back to when visitors had to wait to be welcomed into a camp or ceremony. Sometimes left sitting outside the camp for days until people were ready for them and sure that they would not bring harm. In 2020, Gomeroi woman Rachel McPhail started a campaign to include First Nations place names in postal addresses, supported by Australia Post. Traditional place name or Aboriginal country name should be added after the individual's name and before their street address when mailing, something like this image. Next time you send a letter or parcel in Australia, consider including the traditional place name in the mailing address. If you are unsure of the traditional name of the place you live in or where you are addressing, visit the Airtis map or get in touch with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander land councils or cultural center in your locality. I have provided the link to Airtis map in the video description. If you are mesmerized by the red and blue expanse of the Grand Canyon, you have to explore the vast outback of Australia. It is one of those regions that still maintains the ecosystem that it had 5,000 years ago. The vast rocky landscape with baking hot sun and the fauna exclusive to that region. You will find the outback Australia in the most natural state piece of land anywhere in the world. It is still largely unaffected by human transgressions. More than 250 indigenous Australian dialects are thought to have existed at the time of first European contact, of which around 20 are still in everyday use by all age groups. About 110 others are spoken only by more older individuals, not the young generation. 52,000 indigenous Australians, about 12% of the indigenous population, communicate in their local language at home. Australian official language is de facto English, even though it is not codified in law as such. An official welcome to the Northern Territory, a vast federal territory in Australia famed for its outback desert landscapes. In the arid red center lies the iconic sandstone mighty Uluru, also known as Azrock, the red rock domes of Katajuta, and the sculpted cliffs of Kings Canyon. Remote Alice Springs, the gateway town to the Red Center deserts, offer Aboriginal art galleries. The Northern Territory is not a state because it does not generate enough tax revenue to allow that form to financial independence, making it reliant on funding from every other state. It is sparsely populated with a population of about 250,000, fewer than half as many people as in Tasmania. With prehistoric landscapes, thriving wildlife, and a wealth of cultural experience, the Northern Territory incorporates Australia's absolute beauty. A journey through the Northern Territory is a journey through the history itself. That was all in this episode. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. I will see you again in the next episode. Until then, keep on riding, and if you do not ride, keep on keeping on.